My name is Lori. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. Today we are working on the embellishment series. I am going to show you buttonhole and blanket stitch. It is basically the same thing. The only difference is how far apart you space your stitches. So here I have one of my crazy patches and I am showing you blanket stitch. In all of the examples today, I am using 3 strands of embroidery floss. You can use more, you can use less. It depends on how thick you want your stitches to be. I just like the way three strands looks. I started this in the corner. I came up through the bottom after making a knot, and you see I make the same stitch over and over again, up and then down toward the loop, up and then down toward the loop. The key is to not pull your threads too tight and to keep your stitches as even as possible. I'm doing about 1/4 of an inch between and 1/4 of an inch from the place I put the hole or put the needle in down. Some people like to work in a hoop. I am working without a hoop. I like the freedom of being able to twist and turn my fabric easier, so I don't use a hoop. It's all up to you. Practice is the key here. My first stitches always start out a little rougher, and then I improve after about 4 or 5 stitches. I do love this stitch. It is very versatile and very graphic. As you can see, I've run out of floss and I need to tie on a new piece. So I've knotted it off on the back and I didn't go through the whole way through to the front, and I am threading a new piece. I'm doing that same technique that I've been using to thread the needle. I put the needle eye down over the 3 strands of thread, and yes, as disgusting as it is, I did lick my thread and flatten the threads together. But that always works, always. I tie off my knot and then I come back up through the same place where I went down through to secure the bottom of that blanket stitch. And then I just very quickly finish off the rest of the stitches. I try to keep the in and out spots where I put the needle even, parallel. If you do it at a slant, you'll get a little bit different look. It's okay. Whatever look you want to have is what you need to make it. And if you need to pick something out, it is not hard to pick out. You take off your needle and you pull your threads back through. And then I go to the very corner and I put my thread down through and I tie it off on the back. And that will be caught up in the seam allowance when I use these blocks in a project. This blanket stitch has varied spacing, so I don't keep it consistent 1/4 of an inch. I've decided to use this lovely off-white on the gray, and I'm going to make the stitches different sizes. I'm going to start with a small stitch and work my way up to a larger stitch so that it makes kind of a lacy appearance. You can put the stitches closer together or further apart. Again, I am still using 3 strands of floss, and I get started on the corner of the piece and then I just make some stitches. And even though this is a completely different look in the end, I think, it's still the same basic stitch. You make that loop, go the same direction over and over again. It's just where you're putting your needle down that makes the only difference. Each stitch is just a little bit different in height. There are two of the bumps, if you will, and I will continue on down that row and show you at a different time. Here we have another block, and I'm going to show you an example of buttonhole versus blanket stitch. It is just a little triangle, and I'm going to put a very close little stitch. Now you could put these right up against each other and make it sort of a solid looking stitch. That's a different look entirely. But I am going to add buttonhole to this triangle here in the corner, and I'm going to use a very contrasting thread because that's the whole point. I want to see those embellishments. Again, I'm going to use 3 strands. I start in the corner just like I did before. This time, since it is buttonhole stitch, I am just making smaller stitches that are closer together. That is the only real difference in my mind. And like I said, you could make them so they are touching each other and they look almost solid. That is the only difference. Let me get to it while I put on some music for you. I tie this off to the back, make my loop, clip my thread, and it is done. Let's take a look. There it is, all finished. Thank you for watching. I will see you on Wednesday for Build-A-Block. We will be making crazy blocks with fancy fabrics on a foundation. See you then. Bye.